It is late at night in New York City. The streets are quiet. The lights in most windows are off. But in one small room, a single man is still awake. Nikola Tesla sits alone, surrounded by wires, papers, and unfinished ideas. There is no applause, no friends waiting for him, only silence. His mind is powerful, full of visions that can change the world, but his room is empty. While the world sleeps, he works. While others dream, he creates. Tonight, we begin a story of brilliance and loneliness, a story that asks one haunting question: how can a man who changed the world die forgotten and alone? Nikola Tesla was different from the very beginning. Even as a child, he lived in a world that others could not see. While other children played together, laughed loudly, and chased simple joys, Tesla often stood apart, quiet and thoughtful. His mind was always busy, too busy. He saw pictures in his head as clearly as if they were real. When someone spoke a word, an image appeared instantly in his mind, bright, detailed, and alive. Machines formed fully in his imagination before he ever touched a tool. To young Tesla, ideas did not need paper, they lived inside him. But this gift came with a cost. People around him did not understand how his mind worked. Teachers were confused. Other children felt uncomfortable. Some thought he was strange. Others thought he was proud or distant. In truth, he was simply lost in thought, traveling through worlds built by his imagination. At home, silence became his closest companion. He learned early that explaining his thoughts only created distance, so he stopped trying. Instead, he turned inward, finding comfort in ideas rather than people. His loneliness did not arrive suddenly. It grew slowly, quietly, like a shadow that never left. Even then, as a child, Nikola Tesla was already learning how to live alone, inside his own mind. As Nikola Tesla grew older, his inner world became larger and louder. The visions in his mind did not fade with time. Instead, they became sharper, stronger, more demanding. Ideas followed him everywhere, into classrooms, onto quiet roads, and into the stillness of night. His thoughts never rested, and neither did his dreams. Tesla began to study with intense discipline. While others learned to pass exams or secure comfortable futures, he studied to understand the unseen forces of the universe. Electricity, energy, motion, these were not just subjects to him. They were living mysteries, calling to him, asking to be revealed. But the more he focused on his ideas, the more distant he became from ordinary life. Friendships felt shallow, conversations felt slow, emotional connections confused him. He did not know how to explain what burned inside his mind. While others talked about family, money, or pleasure, Tesla thought about currents flowing invisibly through the air and machines that could reshape the future. Slowly, almost without realizing it, he began to choose work over companionship. Long hours of study replaced human connection. Silence became familiar. Loneliness became normal. His dreams were too big for the small world around him, and as his ambitions grew, the space between him and other people grew wider. Tesla was not running away from others, he was running towards something greater. But that path, though filled with purpose, was one he would walk alone. When Nikola Tesla arrived in America, he carried almost nothing with him. A small suitcase, a few poems, and a mind full of ideas powerful enough to light the world. He stepped onto American soil believing this was the place where dreams were rewarded, where intelligence and hard work would finally be seen. At first, hope burned brightly inside him. New York City was loud, fast, and full of energy. It felt alive. To Tesla, it seemed like the perfect home for invention. He believed that here, among factories and progress, his ideas would finally matter. But reality was harsh. Tesla quickly discovered that ideas alone could not buy food or shelter. He struggled to survive. He worked exhausting jobs, often doing physical labor far beneath his abilities. His hands, meant for delicate instruments and careful experiments, became rough and tired. His body grew weak even as his mind remained restless. Loneliness followed him through the crowded streets. He was surrounded by people, yet deeply alone. He spoke with few, trusted fewer. At night, hunger sat beside him as he dreamed of machines and future cities powered by invisible energy. Hope and desperation lived together in his heart. He believed in his vision, but belief did not protect him from poverty. America had welcomed him, but it did not yet understand him. And once again, Tesla learned that even in a land of opportunity, a lonely dreamer could easily be forgotten. Eventually, Nikola Tesla found work that brought him closer to his dreams. He began working with powerful men, businessmen and inventors who controlled money, factories, and influence. For the first time, it seemed he was no longer completely invisible. His ideas were noticed. His intelligence was valued. Or so he believed. Tesla worked with intense focus. He gave everything to his inventions, his time, his energy, his health. He cared little for contracts or money. Recognition did not interest him as much as creation itself. He trusted that honesty and brilliance would be enough. But the world around him followed different rules. Promises were made in confident voices and friendly smiles. Tesla believed them. He focused on the work, while others focused on profit. Slowly, he realized that his ideas were being controlled, reshaped, and claimed by people who did not truly understand them. When disagreements appeared, Tesla stood alone. He refused to fight for money or credit. To him, ideas belonged to the future, not to personal gain. But this refusal came at a price. Others earned wealth and power from his work, while he remained in the background, unpaid, unprotected, and unheard. Trust began to break inside him. He had worked under others, not beside them. And for the first time, Tesla felt something worse than poverty: betrayal. Nikola Tesla soon found himself trapped in a battle he never wanted to fight. It was not a war with weapons, but a war of ideas, a battle between vision and profit, truth and power. Tesla believed ideas should serve humanity. Others believed ideas should make money. His inventions began to shape the future. Electricity flowed farther, faster, and more efficiently because of his work. The world was changing, but Tesla's life was not improving. While his ideas spread, his name slowly disappeared. Rivals stepped into the light. They spoke confidently to investors and newspapers. They promised simple stories and quick rewards. Tesla, however, refused to compromise. He would not reduce his ideas to satisfy businessmen. He would not bend the truth to win popularity. As a result, he was labeled difficult, not brilliant, not visionary, just difficult. The recognition he deserved went to others. Fame followed names that were louder, not wiser. Tesla watched as inventions born in his mind were celebrated under someone else's name. Each loss pushed him further into isolation. This war did not end with victory or applause. It ended with silence. Tesla stood firm in his principles, but the world moved on without him. And in that quiet defeat, his loneliness deepened, because standing alone for truth often means standing alone forever. As the world turned its attention elsewhere, Nikola Tesla turned inward. His laboratory became his universe. Day and night lost their meaning. Sleep became optional. Food became an afterthought. Only work remained. Tesla often worked alone, late into the night, surrounded by humming machines and flickering lights. While the city slept, his mind raced. Ideas came endlessly, demanding attention. He wrote notes quickly, afraid that even a moment of rest might cause a vision to disappear. His body grew weaker, but he ignored the warning signs. Rest felt like betrayal to his ideas, to the future he believed in. He spoke less. He avoided people. Conversations felt unnecessary when his thoughts were so loud. Applause no longer followed his efforts. Newspapers stopped writing his name. Investors stopped knocking on his door. The world slowly forgot the man who once promised to reshape it. But Tesla did not stop. In the silence, his mind remained alive, sharp and relentless. Yet his life outside those thoughts began to collapse. Isolation was no longer a choice, it was a condition. He was alone not because he wanted to be, but because there was no place left for him. Nights passed without sleep. Days passed without recognition. And still, Tesla worked, faithful to his ideas, even as everything else faded away. As Tesla's inventions became more advanced, the world around him became less able to understand. People no longer saw a brilliant mind. They saw an odd man, eccentric, strange, even frightening in his intensity. His ideas stretched beyond what society could imagine, beyond what investors could trust. Doors that were once open slowly closed. Supporters became skeptical. Curiosity replaced respect. Journalists wrote about his peculiar habits instead of his genius. Conversations with potential investors ended with polite excuses and dismissals. Tesla's vision remained, but the world no longer wanted to see it. He continued to work, driven by an inner flame. Machines hummed, sparks leapt, experiments thrived, yet outside his laboratory, silence grew. Fame faded, replaced by whispers of the strange scientist. His mind reached the future, but his life remained trapped in the loneliness of the present. Even among people, Tesla felt alone. Even when recognized, he did not belong. His genius had outpaced humanity's understanding. His place was neither here nor there, just inside the walls of his imagination, where no one could follow. And so, the man who could see the world differently became a man without belonging. By the time Tesla reached his later years, the world had largely turned its back on him. Financial support vanished. Investors who had once been intrigued by his ideas lost interest. Promises of funding, once whispered with eager smiles, disappeared into cold silence. Tesla moved from one hotel to another, each smaller and cheaper than the last. His belongings dwindled. Machines were sold, notes misplaced, rooms emptied. Friends and colleagues became memories, not companions. The life he had hoped for, the recognition, the comfort, the acknowledgement, was gone. Yet through all of it, Tesla refused to compromise his vision. He did not sell his ideas for quick money. He did not trade principles for comfort. Poverty was relentless, but so was his dedication. His world shrank to a single room, a table, a few pieces of equipment, and the infinite universe inside his mind. Even in despair, he remained faithful to the one thing that had never abandoned him, his ideas. They were his companions, his refuge, and his unyielding purpose. The world could forget him, society could reject him, but the brilliance of Tesla's mind endured, untouchable, undefeated, and unwavering. In his final years, Nikola Tesla lived alone in a small, quiet hotel room in New York City. The streets below buzzed with life, but inside, there was only silence. No visitors knocked on his door. No letters arrived with praise or news. Even the newspapers, once eager to report his genius, had stopped noticing him. Tesla spent his days reflecting. He walked slowly around the room, sometimes speaking to himself, often talking to the invisible machines in his mind. He remembered cities powered by electricity, devices that could change the world, ideas that had been too advanced for his time. Yet outside, the world barely remembered him. He ate little, slept little, and spoke even less. Time passed, measured only by the shadows cast across his room and the hum of distant traffic. His loneliness was complete, absolute. Still, his mind remained alive. Ideas flowed like rivers, unstoppable and brilliant, filling the silence with visions of a future that would one day come to be. In that quiet room, the genius of Nikola Tesla shone brighter than ever, though no one was there to see it. On January 7th, 1943, Nikola Tesla died alone. There were no crowds, no reporters, no ceremonies. He passed quietly in a small hotel room, surrounded by the silence that had been his companion for decades. The world did not notice. The man who had given so much, visions that would shape modern life, left without applause. Yet time has a strange way of measuring genius. Decades later, people began to understand what Tesla had given humanity. Electricity flowed through homes, cities, and factories in ways he had imagined. Machines hummed with the power of ideas he had created. Modern technology, from alternating current to wireless communication, carries the echo of his mind. Though forgotten in life, Tesla's vision was never lost. The world slowly caught up to the genius who had worked alone, dreamed alone, and sacrificed everything for the future. His legacy stands quietly, powerfully, proving that recognition may come late, but truth endures. Nikola Tesla died forgotten by the world, but history would not forget him. Tonight, imagine Nikola Tesla again, alone in his small room, surrounded by papers, wires, and the faint hum of machines. The city sleeps, but he does not. He works tirelessly, consumed by visions of a future that does not yet exist. His life was not easy. He endured loneliness that few could imagine, poverty that crushed the body, and betrayal that weighed on the heart. Yet through it all, he never abandoned his ideas. Every sleepless night, every silent day, every small sacrifice was a step toward a world he would never fully see. This is the price of changing the world, the cost of vision, brilliance, and unwavering dedication. Loneliness does not diminish genius. Silence does not erase impact. And even when the world turns away, ideas remain, shaping life in ways invisible but undeniable. Tesla's life reminds us that greatness is often born in solitude, that true contribution is sometimes unnoticed, and that the legacy of a visionary can outshine the life they lived. In the end, the world may sleep while the genius works, but the future never forgets. The story of Nikola Tesla closes not with applause, but with respect, reflection, and the quiet knowledge that one lonely life changed everything.